No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it. You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week out in your gardens. I'm just out here looking around, checking out our back patio garden spaces. Made a discovery and was thinking about how one of the best tomatoes I ever grew right out of the gravel of our alleyways around here. And I'm not really sure that this one really has the chance or opportunity to be as successful as that tomato was. This is just growing right out of a bucket of pea gravel, but it's amazing where life and our plants can pop up throughout our garden spaces. I mean, here's just a volunteer right out of a bucket of rocks. But yeah, gardens are pretty amazing. We have a really great show ahead for you today. We've got Jennifer Jewell joining with us on the program. So, all right, everyone, let's get growing.
All right, all my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today, and we've got a really, really great show ahead for you today. As I just mentioned, we've got Jennifer Jewell from Cultivating Place, the award-winning PBS show, joining with us here just a little bit later on in the program. And we've got Doug from the Crock Gardener joining with us here in just a few minutes for our Are You Following Me segment coming up. So definitely stay tuned for these really, really awesome guests and conversations coming up here just a little bit on the program. And definitely, if you can, let's click that like button, hit that thumbs up real quick, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams right here on the Urban Gardener channel. And definitely be sure to share with all of your gardening friends out there. Let them know that we're here every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's about 7 p.m. for those of you over in the UK, Greenwich Mean Time. So yes, thank you all so much for being here, especially those of you who are joining with us on the replay. Really, really awesome to have you. Thank you very much for being here. And if you can, definitely drop into our comment section down below. Let us know you are here. Let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, all of that. I want to hear from all of you, even if you just want to stop by and say hello. Definitely love seeing all of those comments on our replays. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining with us, especially those of you who are also here live with us. Join in the conversation. Definitely drop into our chat here. And just like those who are joining with us on the replay, we've got roll call coming up in just a couple of minutes. And let us know where you're growing from, what you got growing on, what's happening in the garden space, all of that here for our audience shout out coming up in just a couple of minutes. And if you've got any questions or comments for our guests coming up, definitely be sure to drop those in throughout the show, and we just might feature them right there at the bottom of the screen. And yeah, thank you everybody for all of your questions and all of that for our guests coming up here later on the show. Yeah, we've got lots and lots growing on around here. And I hope that you do too. I hope everything's growing really great out in your gardens. I hope that you're harvesting tons and tons of great, amazing things out of your garden spaces. I did do a little bit of a summer garden tour video that I put out last week before last, and takes you around all of our different growing spaces here around all of our gardens, and shows you all the different things that we've got growing on. And I was just thinking yesterday, I was like, man, I'm going to have to get out there and film another one here real soon, because so much has really changed even in just a couple of weeks since I put out that garden tour. I was like, oh man, I got to update folks on this and this and that, thinking of all the different things that I was showing you guys throughout this garden tour. So that's something I'm going to have to do here, is make that maybe something we'll do here every few weeks or something, and do a little catch up walk around the garden spaces for our videos this year. But yeah, definitely go and check out that garden tour video. Really great look at all of the really cool things we got growing on, especially our tomatoes. That was the one thing I was noticing, and I've been talking all about this season. It's definitely a tomato season. I was expecting it to be beans. I went out and planted a bunch of beans this year, did all that sort of stuff with those. Was thinking, yeah, I'll try all these different bean varieties, and it turns out the tomatoes, which haven't been the best over the last several seasons due to all of this really extreme heat, and when it shows up and how it, how extreme it gets throughout the summertime, has really put some pressure on our tomato plants over the last few years. And this year, I mean, again, it's getting warm around here. It's definitely getting warm around here for sure. It's just not as hot as it usually or has been over the last few years. And I think our tomato plants are just taking advantage of it, and they're doing great. I've got fruit all over all of my different plants. They're ripening up. I'm pulling them off of the plants already. So it's that's really, really great. And volunteers, I just wanted to mention again too about the clip that we showed at the beginning of the show there too. I was just out earlier and noticed this little tomato volunteer popping up out of that pea gravel bucket that I had. And again, who knows where it's going to go. It's definitely just as you could tell, just popped up within the last few days, this last week or so. And so I'm not sure how much of a season it has to even be able to grow or do anything at all, along with a bunch of other volunteers that we've had, because not only has it been a great tomato season, but I've got them popping up all over the place, and I'm discovering new ones that are all over, just all over our different growing spaces. And so tomato starts have basically become my weeds for this year. I've been pulling them out all over our different garden spaces and everything. But it was a fun little discovery to see that one growing in that bucket. I mean, I can't believe sometimes how and where some of these volunteer plants decide to pop up, and really how well they grow. As I mentioned, one of the best tomatoes I ever grew was on the back alleyway, and it came right up out of the gravel, right along the roadside, so it didn't have to worry about getting ran over or anything. And I just kind of pushed it over and had it grow up the fence and everything, and produced just some really great tomatoes. So just you can get really surprised by certain plants and how they come into your garden, especially those volunteers. I never expected it to do very well at all, but ended up being like one of the best, which is really great. So, all right, everybody. Also, here, let's check this out too. I was mentioning last week, and I showed you last week on the program, what we're going to call our pumpkin watch. We'll just keep an eye out for my giant pumpkins I'm growing. I say giant; they're not going to be as giant as some of those award-winning, record-breaking pumpkins that folks are growing out there and everything. I've got dill Atlantic giant that we planted out in my usual space that I'm usually growing pumpkins or squash or different things like that. I try to grow different varieties every now and then, but I am growing what I'm going to try to grow the largest that I've grown in this space. Several years ago, I grew a dill Atlantic that got to 137 pounds. So that's my personal record. So we're out to break my personal record this year with our pumpkins, and we've got, I believe now, our two main fruits. So let's take a look here. We've got this is just, again, the plants are just starting to really stretch out. It's got two vines. You can't quite tell because they're bunched together here, but there are two vines that are kind of spreading out several feet apart from each other, but the other vines are kind of filling up in those spaces. But we've got the one pumpkin you can see right there in the front, and it's starting to put on weight for sure. It's definitely, I should have put back the picture from last week so you can see and do a comparison. I'll have to remember that for next week. We'll do the comparison, but I'd say it's doubled in size from what it was last week for sure. And So definitely our most viable fruit so far. This is probably, our first main fruit that we have, and then our secondary fruit, which is, the one main fruit on our second vine, which I think is it's actually, starting to put on weight. It's starting to grow. In fact, it looks probably about the size that the other one did last week. So let's see what this one looks like next week. But yeah, definitely holding on, looking good. So again, I think this one will be our second primary fruit. And then we do have a couple, down the vine. We are looking at, holding on to a second fruit on each of our vines just for a short period of time until I'm feeling very confident about the other two primary fruits on each of the vine. And once I'm feeling really confident, which I pretty much am at this point, but we'll give it another week or so, and then from that point we'll be removing any other fruits or any sort of things that want to pop up on the plant, so that we can get the plant concentrating all of its energy onto those main fruits that we have, and we'll see how big we can get them. And again, my primary vision in doing this year was to snap pictures with my granddaughter around Halloween with a big giant pumpkin. So I think we're well on our way to success when it comes to doing that. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Right on. So pumpkin watch. We'll again, I'll do some comparisons. We'll keep those, and then we'll take a look at them next week and see how well our pumpkins are going along then. All right, everybody, let's jump into the chat. Let's see who's all here with us today. It's time for roll call.
My name is Kevin. Yeah. That is my name. Yeah. They call me Kevin. Yeah. Because that's my name. Roll call.
All right. It's roll call time. And this is the time of the show where we give all of you out there who are joining with us live on the show a big, huge shout out here at the top of the show. And of course, we definitely got to say hello to our good friend, chat facilitator and producer Jay Dixon, the J-Bot, joining with us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario, in the lee of Lake Huron. Keep an eye out throughout the show for links and information and things that Jay is sharing there in the chat with us. I see our good friend Chad from Down Home Backyard Gardening. He's in the chat as well too. He says, excited to watch this show, supporting our coast to coast brother Doug. That's right, we got Doug the Croc Gardener joining with us here in just a few minutes for our Are You Following Me coming up here. And he wants to learn a little bit from Jennifer Jewell. Yeah, I'm excited to have Jennifer back on the show as well, too. We'll be talking with her a little bit later on. We've got MKP joining with us here, joining us from Oklahoma Zone 7B, garden trying to survive this heat wave. Fall planting can't get here soon enough. You got any of your fall seeds and things started and planning? I'm working on some of things for my fall garden as well too. It's time to be thinking about that right here while we are dealing with all of these heat waves, and thinking about that cooler season coming up here real soon. Chad says, happy Saturday, everyone, from this blistering, brutal heat in Spring, Texas, Zone 9B. Yeah, it is that time. I'm telling you, we are reaching up towards 100 ourselves. I think the last day or so, a little bit of a cool off, and then we're right back at it again this next week. We're going to be hovering in those upper 90s for sure. Maybe touch 100. We're not touching 100 much around here, which again, like I was saying about our heat waves we've had over the last few years, it's a little bit different for us here in Southern Oregon. It's a little warm, but it's actually a little bit cooler. MKP says, Chad, for the first time in weeks, we're not in triple digit temperatures. Yes, exactly. Right on. Big Will Dog in the soil here. All right. Coast to Coast is in the building and ready to see my boy Doug. Yes, that's right. Awesome. I love seeing all of you guys supporting our guests here on the show. There's Doug in the chat with everybody saying hello. We've got Joe from Muddy Puddles Farm in the chat as well, joining us from Cornwall, UK. And she says, it's been a jam making day. Been making jam all day today. Right on, right on. And busy, so much coming in from the garden to process. I'm hoping to get Kevin off to the freezer, to freezer camp soon. Oh, yes, definitely. He actually stood on the ramp of the cattle trailer earlier. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. We got Michael O'Connor joining with us as well, too. Glad to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us here on the show today. David from Bowtie Life in the Garden, Triple G Global Gardeners. He says he's from the heart of Old Destin, where warm sunshine, gentle rain showers, and flourishing gardens make every walk outside feel like a little vacation. Right on. Excellent. And be sure to join with us tomorrow, everyone, as David will be joining us for the In the Garden segment for tomorrow's Sunday edition show. We've got Carissa in the conversation with us today. Hello, Carissa. Great to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us today. Adam, our good friend and moderator, joining me and everyone here in Southern Oregon, right up the road from me in Central Point. And he says he's listening in while changing the brakes on his pickup. Oh, brakes are those are some fun right there, busting some knuckles on some brakes. Have fun with that, Adam. EE2201, good afternoon, everyone. Hello from Ohio. Great to have you here joining with us. The garden is doing great. Awesome. I think we're having a great gardening season. I think that's been the consensus from most everybody this year. Really good growing season. Doug says, hello, everyone from lovely Southern Illinois. Currently growing a lot of things. Cucumbers are coming in hot and heavy. Yes, they are. Oh, my cucumbers are just growing like crazy, producing like crazy. I've been handing those out to neighbors and friends and everything like crazy. Got these really delicious, my new favorite cucumber I'm growing this year, Persian cucumbers. If you haven't tried those, you've got to grow those. They are spectacular. I love them, and producing like crazy. My first real producers too, out of all the different cucumbers that we're growing this year. And Dusty Flats in the conversation says we were up to 13 raccoon removals and voles attacking the popcorn and caught 3 moles. Oh boy, you got an inundation of some pests there in your garden for sure. The animals, I feel for all of you who got to deal with those animal pests for sure. They can be devastating to your garden. Nope. In the conversation. Thank you for joining with us here. Great to have you here today. Rob from Rob's Attic, Rob's Allotment Gardening, joining us as well from over in the UK. Thank you for being here with us, Rob. It's great to have you here today. Let's see here. Oh, Jay in the chat saying a special thanks to the Coast to Coast crew who are here to support Doug, the Croc Gardener. Yes, indeed. We've got another one of those great Coast to Coasters on the show with us today. Definitely. Coach Chavi, awesome to see you here with us today. Great to have you in the chat. Thank you for being here. Always great to see your name in the chat there with us. Same here with Janet McDonald joining with us as well too. Says oh yes, definitely saying hello to everybody. Thank you, Janet, for being here today with us. It's great to have you here. Look to Nature Homestead, great to have you with us today. And also Robin from Robin's Gardens joining us from Chicagoland. Robin says it's rainy, so I'm making a lasagna. Oh boy, that sounds good. Oh, I haven't had a lasagna for a while. Let's see, won't be able to type until I finish this. Takes concentration, right? You got your layers right? All right. The Seed Saver already added 30 minutes to the pepper prep. LOL. Excellent. Well, it's great to have you with us, Robin. Thanks for taking your time joining with us on this show. And again, great way, like Adam too, as well, doing his breaks. You're making lasagna, sitting back and watching and listening into the show while you're doing other things, working in your garden, all of that sort of stuff. Great ways to tune into our show for sure. Methedicus in the chat as well too. Awesome to have you here with us. And let's see. Adam says, LOL, it's like, I've already had yeah, exactly. Busted knuckles for sure. I know I busted a few on my last brake job on my car for sure. Got to get that tension just right. You got to get it just right. Farmer Marshall in the conversation with us as well, too, joining us from Georgia. 8A, starting some seeds today for late summer harvest and early fall as well. Yeah, like I said, it's also, it's maybe the heat of summertime, but it's also time to be thinking about getting things started up for our fall gardens. And we've got Meg's Edible Landscape in the chat as well, too. Listening on the road. There you go. Awesome. Christine in the chat here with us as well, too. It's great to have all of you here with us today. Thank you all so much for jumping in, letting us know you're here for our roll call here today. Really, really great to have you all here. And all right. Let's go ahead and take a real quick break here, real quick. And we'll be right back. Let's get this show started with our first guest coming up here in just a minute.
Hello, let's get growing live gardening community. I'm Charles Malky, biologist and co-founder of Ivy Organic brand products. Ivy Organic is based on whitewashing, a time-tested way to protect plants from summer sunburn, winter sun scald, pests, transplant shock, and environmental stresses. Unlike latex or tar-based products that crack, peel, and leave residue on your soil indefinitely, Ivy Organic is truly organic and a healthier alternative. It dries on porous, allowing plants to breathe and heal naturally without rotting. Also ideal for protecting your pruning and grafting wounds. Available in white for maximum reflection or natural tones like brown, green, gray, and grayish. Ivy Organic protects while blending beautifully with your landscape. Choose from the whitewash oil-free formula or the 3-in-1 plant guard made with natural oils to help repel insects and rodents. Protect your plants the smart, organic way with Ivy Organic. Learn more at ivorganics.com and wishing you all happy gardening.
Hi gardeners, I'm Brandy, the Suburban Gardenista, and I'm here today with your garden trivia question for this week. Your question for today is, how long does it take for an ornamental allium seed to bloom? And your options are A, 7 days, B, 2 weeks, C, 7 months, or D, 2 years. Let us know what you think in the chat, and I'll be back a little bit later in the show with the answer.
All right. Do you know the answer to Brandy's trivia question? Jump into the chat there. Let us know what you think. And she'll be back here in just a little bit with the answer to this week's trivia question. And a big, huge thank you to our sponsor, Ivy Organics. Go and check them out at ivyorganics.com. Get yourself some of that 3-in-1 plant guard, a real must-have for your garden shed. Use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, to get 10% off over there at ivyorganics.com. And did you get a chance to check out last weekend's show? Last weekend's show was really fun. We did 2 days in a row of our periodically, every now and then, we do our community shows where we let you, the audience, come join with us on the show here. I hand out our show code for our backstage, like a call-in radio show in a way, where you, the audience, get to come in and join with us and hang out and talk all about what you've got growing on. Kind of like a big show-long version of our roll call in a way, where we get to have you on with us live. It was really fun. We did kind of use our use our community shows. We did a weekend, both Saturday and Sunday edition of the shows as community shows, and did kind of a little bit of a fundraiser as well too. So again, thank you to everybody who donated. We got several really great donations to the show to help us pay for our yearly bills that come due when it comes to putting together all of this really fun programming that we have for you here each and every weekend. And we really do appreciate everything that you've been able to give. If you didn't get a chance to donate, and again, no donation is too small, definitely drop into the description down below. We've got links to Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and those sort of places where you can drop in a couple of dollars to donate to the show. And last weekend, we had Jay, our J-Bot. She actually doubled donations for everybody. So again, everybody, thank you so much for all that you've given to the show. We really, really do appreciate it so much. All right. So yeah, really fun shows too. We had some really great audience guests on the show with us. So you'll definitely want to go back and check out those shows as well too. This from this last weekend. Right on. All right, let's get things moving right along here. It's time for Are You Following Me?
Are you following me? Are you following me, dude?
All right. Let's welcome to the show for this week's Are You Following Me? We've got Doug, the Croc Gardener, with us today. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing wonderful. Awesome to have you here with us today. Another of the coast to coast crews we see in the chat with everybody out there representing over there at Down Home Backyard Gardening, Chad's coast to coast show that he does each month. You get to participate with him there. And we've been kind of having a few of you folks on with us here as well too for our show. So again, we really appreciate Chad over there at Down Home Backyard Gardening and sharing all of you guys with us.
Yes, Chad does a wonderful job with that. He got a great crew together, so I really appreciate seeing all the rest of them on here as well.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on over there, Doug. Let's start with your garden story. This is something we love to hear from all of our guests. Dig in a little bit about how all of this passion for growing and gardening got started for you. Is this something that you grew up with? Garden's been in your life since you were a kid, or something that you found later on? Tell us a little bit about how you got growing.
I've been gardening ever since I was a kid. I remember growing up, my grandparents had a garden. My parents always had a garden. And that's not to say that whenever I was a kid, I really enjoyed it like I do now. It was just kind of a way of life for us, and it was just part of what we do. We go out there, plant seeds, and harvest. So I'm 46 years old, and I've probably been gardening for 40 of those years probably. So
Oh, right on. I think it's a common thing when I hear folks who say that they got started early on when they were younger, or they grew up around gardens, especially those more so that, it was a part of their family lifestyle in a way, is that it wasn't quite as fun as you were, when you were a kid, because I guess that a lot of it ended up just being kind of like chores and things that you had to do and everything. But even with that experience just sticks with you, right?
it does. And it's kind of got me to drag my boys out there with me as well. So
Exactly.
They're hitting the point where it's a chore for them, that they used to love following me out there, especially when they were wee little guys. So
Yeah, definitely. You got to get the kids out there. Like you said, it's something that, even for you, stuck with you throughout your life. It'll stick with them, but more so as it really gives them a great understanding of where and how their food comes from, and how it's grown, and kids who get to see and learn that sort of stuff, they enjoy that food a lot better. And is that something you see with your kids?
yeah, when they were real little, it was they wanted to pick everything. Didn't matter
Yeah.
if it was ready or not.
Yeah.
But now they're out there. They take a little bit of pride in it. I got my one boy. He loves going out there and sugar snap peas. That's
Mm,
he may not know where I plant them right away, but once he finds them,
yeah.
he's out there snacking on them. So
Yeah, that's a great one as an example too, because when I grew up, and I didn't grow up around gardens and that sort of stuff, I was a picky eater growing up, and one of the worst things for me to eat was peas. I just did not like peas for anything throughout growing up. But when I got older and started gardening and growing my own food, it was those sweet peas that I was going to. Like, I'm a muncher. I love getting in there and eating right straight out of the garden, and it's those peas I love the most, which is really crazy. I think when I think back on how much I just disliked those things growing up.
it's amazing how life changes for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I wish I'd watched them grow and had those, when I was younger and a kid. I'd probably liked them a little bit better when I was younger, for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, they are probably one of my more favorite things. What's your favorite thing that you grow out of the garden? What that you
Probably have to say strawberries. I
mm,
love strawberries. I'm a big fruit guy. I got a little
yeah,
bit of a sweet tooth, so
yeah.
strawberries are one of my favorite things. That's usually one of the first things that we go out and harvest, anyway. So that kind of brings me into the snacking season, I guess, out in the garden.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, exactly. Again, talk about snacking out of the garden, talking about kids too, is that I have my granddaughter, and she loves like every time she comes over, and she's only like 2 years old, but that's the first thing that she's doing is she's running over to my little strawberry patches.
yeah,
I got to help make sure that she's getting the right ones, but she loves just digging in and eating those strawberries right out of the garden. And they were like that. And again, too, like you said, they're like one of the first things that you start to pull out of the garden too. And yeah, just love strawberries. Um, are you one of the things I've been doing too with strawberries this season is I'm trying to replace some of my beds because I've had some beds for quite a few years, and the berries are just getting too small and funky and stuff. So it's time to kind of replace some plants and everything. So one of the things I love about strawberries is how easy they are to propagate and to
they are.
replace plants, right?
I'm finding it's about 3 years for me. If I have a rotation of several parts of the beds, I can
Mhm.
do, 3 years. I can put one section in, next year put another one in, and just keep rotating them. And like you said, with all those runners that you get, it is really easy to
Yeah.
repropagate them. So
Yeah, yeah. Some plants will put out several different runners, and each runner could give you 3 to 4 different new plants. Kind of depending on how long you let them go before you cut them off and all of that. And yeah, I was just surprised. Like I only got so many plants that I'm actually are propagating from, and I've got like almost 40 new plants out there. Just rooting up and everything. So we should have plenty of new plants for not just to replace our spaces too, but I want to expand out and grow some more. Going back to how much my granddaughter loves strawberries, I love them too. So now that's going to be a primary thing around the garden spaces for sure. Strawberries everywhere.
yep, I did the same thing this winter. I expanded my strawberry patch. So it seems like my lawn just keeps getting smaller and smaller every year. The garden keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you can't have
Yes.
enough strawberries.
Yeah, yeah, and it definitely never enough garden spaces for sure. So strawberries being one of your favorite? What's one of your least favorite things? What's something that's kind of a challenge for you to grow, or maybe something that maybe you haven't given up on, but you feel like it each year? Because I have things that are difficult. They just seem to be certain things that are difficult to grow, and I never really give up. Even though I tell myself sometimes, "Oh, I'm just never going to do this again," I still try and plant them again the next season and give them another shot all the time. But what's something for you out of the garden that's a real challenge in your garden space?
Well, I was going to tell you my least favorite thing to grow, and everybody grows them, is weeds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But all laughter aside,
We all grow them. Yeah, exactly.
Brussels sprouts. I mean,
Mm,
I've struggled with those, but every year, matter of fact, right back here, I got some that I'm going to try to put out for the fall garden.
Yeah.
But every year, I'm keep trying and trying and trying. This last, that was probably February. I finally got some itty bitty ones harvested. So, been trying to grow those in a grow tunnel. So, just one of those things that I guess I'm learning by failing. I guess so. Slowly, I'll get there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, failing or just learning opportunities, right?
Yep.
And I feel for you on the Brussels sprouts, brassicas in general for me. I think you're on the right path, though. Nice early start for, fall. They got a long growing season, everything. For me, I've gotten mine. The best ones I started like in the spring, but kept them alive throughout the summertime and the heat and the bug pressure and oh my gosh, the bug pressure with those. And keep them alive, keep a few healthy plants going, and in those few healthy plants that I get into the cooler season, then they take off. And by wintertime, I'm plucking Brussels sprouts off of them and everything. But they're just a massive challenge. It's a long growing season, and how you get them through some of that pressure is so difficult when it comes to growing Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, it seems every year I plant them, and then every year I question myself. Why you do this, Doug?
Yeah, exactly. Like Look to Nature says, no failures, just changes in plans.
Yep.
Bowtie says, failure-tunities.
You know what fail stands for? If you take FAIL,
Yeah.
fail stands for first attempt in learning.
Yes, that's right.
So
there you go. Yep.
Mind.
Yep, there it is right there. Christy says that too. First attempt in learning.
Must be an education.
That's right. Jay asks, here we go. Jay asks, what do you do with the strawberries?
So the first thing that we do with the strawberries, other than eating them straight out of the patch, first thing we'll do is make pies. That's one of the whole family loves strawberry pie. So that's one of the first things that we do. I will freeze them, save them for later for future pies or whatever else. And we've even gone as far as making some frozen cocktails with them. So there's
all sorts of good stuff. Jams, jellies, things like that.
Yep, we do. We also do jams and jellies. I have to say that I feel like the jelly that we do is probably 90% sugar, 10% strawberries, but that's great as well.
That's for sure, huh? Excellent. So where again are you growing from?
We're in Illinois. Everybody thinks of Illinois as Chicago. We are south of Chicago, so we're about halfway between Indianapolis and St. Louis. If you kind of look at the map.
Oh, excellent. So over there in Illinois, what is your biggest gardening challenge? Do you have something that you have to kind of work through each year, or different things in your garden that kind of challenge you there, just where you grow?
My personal challenge right now is time. I have two boys going through school, so that takes up a lot of my time. Full-time job, trying to get the YouTube channel going as well. It's just a lot of time. But I would say probably inside the garden, this year it's been rabbits. I've been having a lot of pests. I know that somebody, I think it was Dusty Flats, said they had 13 raccoons. They didn't have one raccoon out there, but man, these rabbits are horrible this year.
Wow. Yeah. I feel, like I say, I always feel for folks who got to deal with animal pests. My biggest pest problems are always just the bugs and dealing with the different types of bugs, which are bad enough as it is.
Yes.
But those animals, oh my gosh, they can just really wreak some havoc. And mentioning raccoons, we do get raccoons that walk through the alleyway every now and then, but they straight walk through here because I've got cats that just guard, and they just don't like raccoons, for the most part, aren't scared of a cat, but they don't mess around or hang out if the cat's around, that sort of thing. So that I do kind of got a guard cat that helps keep some of those things away from my gardens and stuff too. But man, I just couldn't imagine coming out and seeing destruction from, rabbits or squirrels or moles or all these different things that you could end up having in your garden spaces. It's just got to be the worst.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this year is so bad, but I mean, I've never had this many rabbits in the garden.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do have a dog. She barks at them, but she's got a electronic fence, and I swear those rabbits know exactly where that fence ends, because they're just out there munching right in front of her. So
yeah, they're so smart. They figure that stuff right out, don't they?
They do.
Deer, for folks who have to deal with deer, it seems like every time you find one thing that kind of gets them going for or keeps them away for just a little bit, they figure it out and then it doesn't work. It seems like almost everything's like that with deer, for sure.
I mean, nature, survival of the fittest, I guess. So
that's right.
We adjust, they adjust. It's a game we play, right?
Yes, definitely. It really is. It really is, for sure. So, the Crock Gardener. I love that name. Tell us a little bit about how you decided. I always find this fascinating with our garden creators that come on the show and everything. Is kind of how they figured, let's get a camera. Let's point it at myself and share my garden space with all these folks out there and everything. How did that come about for you? When did you decide to create the Crock Gardener and start sharing with everybody out there?
Well, like a lot of people during the pandemic, I mean, we're kind of shut up inside. So, I mean, I started watching a lot of different ones on YouTube, and it was just one of those things where I started seeing some things. I grew up with my grandparents' garden where it was, hey, we got to till everything down. We got to do that every year. We got to have rows we can till through, and we're planting in straight rows directly in the ground. It's one of those things where I started seeing, oh my gosh, there is a whole different world of gardening out here. It was amazing on, hey, we can grow up, we can grow in raised beds so we can get the garden in earlier. You don't have to have a tiller. I mean, those things right there just kind of really inspired me. I mean, I started watching Brian from Next Level Gardening. He was one of them that I love watching. In my gardener, Luke, he's also real good. And then watching some of these homestead channels, I mean, it was one of those things where you're kind of stuck inside, stuck on your property. You just kind of makeshift homesteading because you have to, I guess. Like Jess from Roots and Refuge Farm, Justin Rhodes, all those people I started walking, and then this guy named Chad started appearing in my feed too. So
nice.
Walking down home backyard gardening, seeing how he's progressed as well has been huge as well. So so as far as coming up with the name, the Crock Gardener, I mean, my sister, every time I show up for a family thing, she would get on me because I mean, I'm not going to wear my dress shoes. I'm not going to. Crocs are comfortable. She works in the medical side of things and stuff, and I guess a lot of the nurses wear Crocs and stuff like that. And it kind of annoyed her. So I was, being the big older brother and playfully just mocking her. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where I was like, I could just start a gardening channel. What am I going to name it? Well, I'm out there in Crocs all the time, so there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Something unique, a little bit different, helps you stand out and all of that. But again, too, you're going out in your garden space. This place is a place for you to kind of, do a little work with the garden, but kind of also a place where you kind of relax and enjoy your time and do certain things, right? So
exactly, you got to be comfortable in your
get in the comfortable gear, right?
And it is my little space. I go out there and I enjoy it, and I love this time of year too, where everything's kind of grown up, and I don't want to say a hiding spot, but it gets a little bit more intimate out there. It's a cozy little space.
Yeah. What's this? Big Will Dog says Doug has a doppelganger too.
I do. I got an identical twin brother, so.
Oh, you actually have a twin brother, huh?
I do. I have a twin brother. So
Identical?
uh,
Or
as far as we know, I mean, back then they didn't do tests for that stuff. So
right.
you watch us, we talk the same, walk the same, look the same.
Well, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. Does he get in on your videos?
Not yet. We actually, I've talked about maybe doing a video with him because he does things a little different than I do.
Yeah.
Wise. He loves to garden. So we talked about doing a video where we can maybe kind of compare the way I do things versus the way he does things, and kind of, two people that are the same and how we do the things differently, I guess. He was the
They
one
look
too,
alike.
when we do. He was the one too. Whenever we were growing up, he was always out there in the garden with me. I remember when we hit probably about middle school age, me and him had a contest. He took half the garden, I took the other half of the garden, and we had a contest to see who had the most amount of parts at the end of the year.
That's great. Yeah, you got to maybe do like maybe a gardening competition again between you two or something for next season or something. Jay is saying, does he wear Crocs too?
He does. Probably not as much as I do.
Right.
I mean, but he
Yeah,
does.
no, that would be fun, I think, or even have him introduce one of your videos just out of nowhere to see if people notice or something.
Yeah, I bet they probably wanted. We had a teacher that wanted to play a little prank on us at one point in time, and she wanted to play a prank on one of the other teachers. So I got to sit in her classroom all day and do nothing while he had to sit in my classroom and do all the work. So it was a good day.
I have an aunt or aunts that are identical twins, and I mean really identical for sure. And they would always tell me stories of how they would switch classes, or one of them was really good at math and the other was really good at English, right?
Yeah.
Or writing, so the one would do both the math classes and the other one would do both the English classes, and the teachers never knew for sure, and they would just I was like, that would be so fun to be able to pull something like that off, right?
That's really good.
Yeah. Well, right on. Excellent. It's really great to have you here with us today, and thanks for joining with us for sure. Really love learning about Croc Gardener and all of that, and everybody who's watching and joining with us live today or on the replay, definitely check out links down below or links in the conversation for the Croc Gardener. Go over and check out Doug's channel, and definitely go leave him a comment on one of his more recent videos and let him know you saw him here on the Let's Get Growing show. Thanks again, Doug, for being here. It was really awesome to have you. You got anything coming up or anything we should know about coming up on the Croc Gardener?
Typical harvest videos. This winter, I'm going to try my third year of trying to garden in the winter in Illinois. Usually it's a fail, but like I said, I did get some Brussels sprouts and carrots and some turnips at one point in time. So it just keeps me out there and it keeps this thing working. So stay tuned. If you guys, I know there's kind of a lull period for us gardeners on YouTube, but if you want to see a goofy guy out in the garden in his Crocs in the middle of winter, go out there. I do have some winter Crocs, so
you definitely got the winter Crocs then for sure.
The fleece lined ones. So.
Right on. Well, everybody go and check out the Croc Gardener. And again, thank you, Doug, for being here with us today. It was really great to have you here on the show.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
You bet. We'll see you.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
I'm back with the answer to this week's trivia question. Do you know how long it takes for an allium seed to bloom? The correct answer is D, 2 years. Allium seeds can take 2 to even 3 years to bloom. Ornamental allium is an awesome plant for the garden with its very cool Dr. Seuss-like flowers that come in lots of colors and sizes. When the flowers have finished blooming, they'll develop lots of seeds, like 20 to 100 each. When those seeds are developed, they'll fall to the ground and they'll make their way down into the soil where they'll focus their energy on developing bulbs. And this takes a bit of time. Those seeds are really tiny and those bulbs are not small. If you have left your seed heads on your allium because they look so super cool in the garden, consider that they may drop their seeds wherever they please, and you might end up with an allium forest in your garden like I have. I left my seed heads on because they're so cool. They look really, really neat. And then a few years later, I found myself in an allium jungle, which I am fighting every single year. So if you've left your seed heads on like I did, consider cutting them back, saving those seeds to plant precisely where you want them, or maybe sharing some with friends as well. And that's your garden trivia question for today. Thanks so much for playing. Enjoy the rest of the show and be sure to pop by and say hi at the Suburban Gardenista on Instagram and YouTube. And there'll be a link for you down in the description below. Thanks again and happy gardening.
All right, all right. Did you get the question right? Alliums. Yeah, you got to take that time to develop that bulb. How interesting how some seeds work, right? But thank you to Brandy from the Suburban Gardenista for this week's garden trivia. And like she said, go and check out the Suburban Gardenista. Got a link down below in the description. And yeah, go over there and let her know if you got that trivia question right or not, for sure. And also, what do we got coming up here on the Let's Get Growing show? Next Saturday on the Let's Get Growing show, we have Nick Consumptus joining with us. Farmer Nick will be on the show with us. We'll talk with him all about what he's got growing on. And then tomorrow, for the Sunday edition of the show, we've got joining with us. Yes, it's another appointment with Dr. Jeff. We'll be talking gardening as medicine with Dr. Jeffrey Pierce on the show tomorrow. We'll be talking a bit about growing food for nutrition out of our garden. What are those good things we grow? What are we growing for? So we'll talk all about that with the good doctor tomorrow on the Sunday edition of the show. So you definitely want to come and join with us then. Also, we have our monthly gardening book club coming up. That's right. We got our good friend, Mr. NBC, Mark Moshe Colbert, joining with us live on the show for his In the Garden segment and co-host of the monthly gardening book club. And this month we are featuring Charlie Nardozzi's The Continuous Vegetable Garden. That's right. We're really excited about having Charlie on the show with us here coming up in just a couple of weeks. And definitely looking forward to having you here with us as well for that conversation. So definitely mark your calendars for the third Sunday of the month for our monthly gardening book club. And speaking of our monthly gardening book club, our next guest, our featured guest today, was one of our the first year we did the monthly gardening book club. We featured her book, What We Sow. That's right. It's time for our featured guest, Jennifer Jewell.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right. Let's welcome to the show, back again with us. It's Jennifer Jewell from Cultivating Place, the award-winning radio program and podcast. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming back and hanging out with us today.
There we go. I am so excited to be here. It's been really fun being backstage and listening to the program and hearing some of the input, but also the information. Really fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a really, really great show so far today, and we're topping it all off with just a really great conversation. Having you back with us again too. I just remember we had such a great time talking
We
all
did.
about your book, What We Sow, and it was
Thanks.
so great to have you for our monthly gardening book club as we were getting that started. Can't believe we're still cruising along with that. We got great guests still coming up each and every month for our
I
gardening book
mean,
club.
we just don't run out, do we? There's
We
just so many good ones.
There's so many great
Well,
authors out
and a
there.
little connection between what we sow and the Suburban Gardenistas tip this week. The allium seed heads make
Yeah.
great dried flower arrangement pieces
Yes.
that last for years. It is helpful if you shake the seeds out first, otherwise you will have seeds all over your arrangement table,
Yes,
but
that's
they
right.
are a fantastic decorative element. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, and, like, so many different cool sizes and
yeah,
everything too.
yeah.
I remember visiting, Mark once up in Portland, the book club co-host,
Mhm.
MBC, and visiting him once, and he showed me one he had all dried out, and it must have been, like, this bigger than a
Yeah.
basketball or something too,
And
so you
was
got
it
all
the
the great
kind
sizes.
that had, like, sort of a dense interior and then kind of intermittently the longer pieces? I think
Yep,
that's
yeah.
Allium schubertii. It's like a big firecracker. It's super cool.
Yeah, that's what it looked like a big old exploded
Yeah,
firework,
yeah.
is what it looked like for sure.
And I've seen people, like, paint them gold and put them in the garden. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, definitely gotta get some of those and all sorts of, like you said, alliums, of course, we think about, onions, garlic, and those sort of things that grow
Yeah,
in our garden as well too. So, yeah, they put out those just really cool, like, ball seed
mhm,
heads and everything.
yeah,
But, yeah, really great. But yeah, again, thanks for being here with us
sure.
today. I can't wait to talk about all this really great stuff. I mean, we focused again on the book when we had you here the first time, but now I got you back here. We can really dig into all sorts of just really great stuff going on here with you. But first, like I do with most of our guests, I'd love to just dig in and talk about your garden story. Let's talk about how your passion for growing and gardening got started.
I was definitely one of those lucky, people who had, gardening family members. So
Mhm.
I had a mom who was a professional gardener and grower, but also just passionate home gardener, and my
Oh,
father
yeah.
was a wildlife biologist. So
Yeah.
between the 2 of them, we had the plants and the animals, and everybody was happy. And so, yeah, I definitely grew up gardening with grandparents, parents, community members, because my
Mhm.
mom was professional, so saw gardens going in and people working in them, and yeah. So I think until I was a young adult, like maybe 25, it was mostly I knew about gardening, but that was when I got my first, kind of rental house with enough space to make my own garden, and it was in
Yeah.
Seattle. So your climate, more like
Right.
your climate, and you just can't really go wrong as a gardener in Seattle. Like you just put
Right.
stuff in and it grows, and so I had the um, I guess we call it beneficial misconception that I was a great gardener because it was easy in Seattle,
Yeah.
but I got the bug, so I was in for life.
Yeah, yeah. Once they get you,
Yeah,
once it gets its claws into you, you're stuck with it for
yeah,
sure, right?
yeah, and I agree with, Dusty Flat's comment right there that, onions actually bloom better than some of our allium or, like, ornamental what's sold to us as ornamental because you put an
Mm,
onion bulb in and it makes a flower in the 7-month period, not the 2-year period, and, it's really fun to see, and they make great cut flowers. They smell a little in the vase after a while,
right,
like an
yep,
onion, but yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you gotta get past the onion smell for them and everything, but yeah, I'm
Or
sure
you
they
might love it, I don't know.
right. That's true, you
Yeah.
just might. But, yeah, so again, as I was mentioning and talking with, Doug just a little bit earlier, growing up around a garden though, was it something that was kind of a chore? Did you kinda have that sort of sense about, growing and gardening, or what
It
did you
was kind of, both and I would say, there would be the chore days where my mother would say, go out and, dig the row and plant the seeds or pull the weeds or whatever. Pick the
Mhm.
strawberries, which was at the hot time of year. And you'd kind of moan as a young person and be like,
Yeah,
really? Okay.
yeah,
Um, but it was also really fun. I remember my mother was very like generous, I think I would say, and also open-minded about having kids in the garden. And I'm really glad the lasagna's in the oven. Delicious. When are we supposed to come over, Robin?
I know.
And she allowed each of my sisters and I, my sisters and me, like a little space in the garden to do whatever we wanted. And I think that was like a huge lesson for me in that you kind of made space for the messiness of a kid or the creativity of a kid that might be outside of your expectations or your aesthetic choices for your garden. And so I appreciated that. And I think it's partly what helped it become a fun endeavor and an endeavor of agency for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. If you got any questions for Jennifer, definitely drop those into the chat. I did see that David dropped a question in here for you. Looking back, what was it about the little garden that captured your heart and set you on the path you're still walking today?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. What is it that you find most
Yeah.
inspiring about growing and
I
gardening?
don't know. That's like asking, why did you fall in love with the person you fell in love with, right? It's sort of the chemistry of it. The little garden had
Right.
a tiny little bit of everything. It had flowers, it had vegetables, it had a beautiful little raspberry patch that the Norwegian neighbors helped me, like taught me how to take care of that raspberry patch and how to prune the right canes at the right time. So you got actual fruit and you didn't cut all the canes that were going to bear the fruit.
Right.
And they were like this great old couple, maybe 80s, and they were so sweet. And every day the woman would walk out the back door with her little enamel percolator coffee pot, and she'd throw the coffee onto the plants at the bottom
Oh,
of the
wow.
staircase. And they were one of those perennial chrysanthemums, like the Asian one. I'm forgetting the name of it. And you have never seen such beautiful chrysanthemums. So lesson right there, take your coffee
Right.
grounds right outside, put them into the garden.
Yeah.
And, I think it was the agency, like the fun of it and the discovery of it and the agency of like, I can put this plant in the garden and it will give me raspberries or it will give me a bouquet of flowers and I would just, it was like being in love. You would get up 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd be like, what am I going to do in the garden today? So I think that sort of fun adventure discovery. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's great too. Yeah, all sorts of different things. I just remember myself too, kind of in those first gardens and those first things, just kind of just being just for one, I'd always kind of had a passion for plants in a sense, but to get out there and start growing for me was being able to grow food, things that I could consume, that I can eat, you know what I mean, which was so different than all the house plants I was normally growing and everything. So I think that was kind of the first thing that really got me, just hooked into the outdoor gardening, was just this ability to be able to grow things for myself, provide in a sense, doing that. And I just found that so fascinating, going and spending most of my life going to a grocery store to get cucumbers, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows my story starts with cucumbers. And
the Persian ones you were talking about earlier, they are the best. And they're like thin skinned and the seeds are so soft. So they're so beautiful to eat. Yeah. They're
they
great.
got like this perfect sweet flavor, cucumber sweet flavor to them that it's just, I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe I'd been missing out on these for all this time and everything. My favorite up until now has been just because I'm again, as I mentioned before, I'm a snacker. I'm a garden snacker. I get out there and graze out of the garden, right? And so I really love like the lemon cucumbers, just little
They are like a little
lemon
just snack. You can just walk around eating them.
Yeah, and they've been my favorite up until now. So I think the Persians have actually replaced them and everything. But yeah, I mean, it was so great to be able to grow those first cucumbers and grow those things and find this ability to be able to grow things that I could eat. And actually, they're my daughter's favorite thing too. I remember she was a teenager and I grew my first cucumber plant and was sharing them with her. And I looked over her and I says, hey, can you believe I grew these? And she's like, no, you didn't. You didn't grow these. I'm like, no, really, I did. I grew them. It was like,
Yeah.
and so I took her out to the balcony, which we lived in an apartment at the time, and I grew them out on this balcony, and it took over the whole balcony. It's
Right.
like, look at this big, huge plant. This is a cucumber plant. Look at them. They're growing right off
Right.
of there. I did grow this myself.
And that
She
is
couldn't
that
believe it.
easy, right? It's like such a superpower. And I also
Yeah,
think
superpower is a good way to put it. I
I
like it.
think that like there is this tangible like even if you don't your brain doesn't articulate it, it also is this tangible understanding that like I got up, I went outside, I played with the plants. I feel great. Like I feel so much better. My head is clearer, my heart is more open. Like it's just the well-being aspect of it is definitely
Mhm.
hooked me for life. And it's still the case. If I'm grumpy, if I'm being an asshole, I walk
Mhm.
outside, I go play in the garden. I am a much nicer person.
Yeah. No, I totally, completely agree with you on that. And the way you even phrased it, I'd say this all the time, is that you get gardening, it's fun. There's a lot of learning and just some really cool things that go along with those first few seasons that you get to
Mhm.
grow. But I think it's that point where you walk in from the garden and yeah, maybe your knees, you've been getting up and down or whatever, but it's not bothersome. It's like
Right.
you come in with this sense of relief, like,
Yep.
wow, I really feel better about, my day, my week, all the things I've been going through. And for me, I remember early on just huge things going on in my life. Huge
Yeah.
things, right? Some
Yes.
very terrible, detrimental things. And
Yes.
just looking at it and going, man, this time in this I'm spending in this space is creating such a place for me to find relief from these things that are just really so troubling.
Mhm.
And it's at that point it was like, okay, wait a minute. I always say that once we realize that sort of mental health aspect of what we get from our garden spaces,
Yes.
that's the claws
Yeah.
of the garden that are just like that sink right into you and go,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm
You're
a gardener
mine.
for life.
You are now mine.
You're gonna be, yeah, in a way. And I kind of look at it in some way of like, if you think of addiction in a way, in some sort of sense, is that we're seeking some sort of, thing, we're trying to
Yeah.
repeat this thing over and over again. And I think that's similar with the garden as well too, when it comes to that relief aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? Because life is life and it's just constantly bearing down on us,
Yeah.
right? And so having a garden always there gives us that place that we can go to and just try to find that relief, and we keep
Yeah.
seeking that out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I just I can't get enough of it, when it comes to that point. And that's when I think everything started to flourish for me as far as
Mhm.
my outlook on what gardening really means to me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, a little bit, uh, picking up on your story about sharing that cucumber with your daughter, I definitely think it made me a better parent. It made me a
Mm,
nicer parent. It gave me resources outside of like what was the obvious resources that people threw at you as a young mother and or
yeah.
parent at all. It was a great thing to role model, which I didn't really understand until now, even, I think, that it was one of my greatest resources and superpowers. So, and
Yeah.
Croc Gardner has 22 quarts of pickles. I think everyone should put their address in the chat so he can share.
Yes. I know. That's the one thing about it, having all these folks from all over the place. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
it's
man,
so
I wish
great.
I could just walk right over to your place and share in some of this lasagna and pickles and all these sort
Right.
of things, all these.
We would have a party.
Yes, indeed, for sure. Yeah, and again, on the idea of parenting and that sort of thing, I didn't grow up with gardens around for me and
Yeah,
everything, so it was kind of one of those things I missed out on as a young parent myself. I
yeah.
didn't really discover gardening and growing and these sort of things at the level. I mean, she was always around houseplants and those sort of things,
That counts.
and enjoyed those just as much as I did, and was one of her first things as a young adult. Was wanting some of my plants and little propagations and stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until she was, a mid-teenager before I started growing food and those sort of things. But I think that's kind of gone in the same level for her, though. She's
Mhm.
discovering those things, the house plants at first with her place, the, apartment and that sort of thing. And then now how can I squeeze in growing in a couple of different food things and stuff. So this year she's grown her first tomatoes, which is really great, and some of these other things. And so we're gradually getting her in on all of
Yeah.
that too. But
See,
the
and
big
now
point,
she's got the skill. She'll carry the skill. Like, it's great.
yeah. And the big thing though too is now I think we've kind of met at the point now too as well where she just had my first granddaughter just a couple of years ago.
See?
So I got a little 2-year-old. So it's a perfect timing for her. Now
Yeah.
she's getting into gardening. I've got the gardens. My granddaughter can now grow up with
Yeah.
these sort of things and have
Yeah.
that different story to tell down the road.
Yep. That's awesome. Oh, congratulations on the new granddaughter. Woo!
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you saw at the very beginning of the show, we're doing, I do each week right now anyways, we're doing pumpkin watch
Ooh,
out on my little pumpkin patch I've
I
got out on
missed
our
that. Darn it.
alleyway.
I have to go
And
back.
yeah, so the idea this year was to grow a big giant pumpkin, which I grew a big Dill Atlantic a few years ago. My personal best is 137 pounds,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
great, which is great for a home
Which is
gardener in an
pretty good.
alleyway,
Yeah.
but it certainly isn't competing in any contests or anything nowadays, as these folks are
They're
reaching
huge.
nearly 3,000 pounds
I
with
know.
these things. It's crazy.
Crazy.
And but yeah, so I was like, my vision this year was that I want to grow a nice big one so we could take pictures with her come Halloween with a nice big huge pumpkin and all of
Oh,
that
so
and
fun.
everything.
Well, we'll
So
look out for that.
so yeah, we got the pumpkins out there and all of that, so we can do that. And again, I love taking her out and we were talking earlier about strawberries and all of
Yeah.
that, and sure, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, again, that whole parenting and gardening and everything, I think it just, I agree with you. It makes us a little better at it.
Mhm. Yeah. It gives us a tool in our toolbox that is almost infallible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how's I know you're a busy person doing all sorts of stuff. How's the garden growing this year?
Well, the garden's growing great. I mean, because you spend a lot of time doing this part of the garden world, that
Yeah,
sometimes takes away from the actual like planted part of the garden world, which is
yeah,
kind of where I am right now. And
yeah,
it is I'm the podcast has grown and the radio program has grown, and we're hosting our first symposium this year in South Bend, all about the power of gardeners, sort of going back to this superpower thing. And we are also just finishing post-production on a PBS series that will roll
yeah,
out in the spring of 2027 called The Power of Gardeners, sort of
yeah,
trying to explore a little bit all that gardeners grow beyond their actual plants. Like,
yeah,
just like what we were talking about, like what it does for our neighborhoods, for our economies, for our families, and how when we as gardeners see all of those connections, we value the
mm-hmm,
work and the act differently, um, and maybe then and the act of gardening is more valued in our society as a whole, which hopefully would then translate to a lot of things, right? Like just personally being valued. Second,
yeah,
professional gardeners being paid an appropriate rate.
mm-hmm,
Public spaces that include gardens or cultivation of any kind being more valued and supported.
yeah,
Treated less badly with perhaps vast amounts of, herbicide spray, all
mm-hmm,
of the things.
yeah,
So, as a result, I do not have that many cucumbers coming into my garden this year.
yeah,
But John, my partner, is really that like head gardener at home now, and he keeps the dahlias and the tomatoes and the, you
yeah.
know, all the things we want coming at this point, even without
Keeping good
two of us full
oversight.
time. Yeah,
Right. All right. That's great. Yeah. For me, like you said, when you got kind of a busy life, kind of outside of the garden, it
yeah,
can kind of, take from all of what we're trying to accomplish in that space. But, for me, I kind of have one of those years where, more so this is, working just on the live show part of it, but
yeah,
trying to, pull back a little bit from some
yeah,
of that so I can dedicate and spend my time in those spaces and do those sort of things.
yeah.
So it's
It's a
just kind of, you
seasonal.
gotta, it's
Yeah,
tug of war in a sense with
Yeah.
certain things at certain times. And sometimes, again, kind of coming back to what we're saying, is that I seek that space,
Yeah.
at times for a lot of things and stuff too. So this year was kind of one of those years where I was like, you know what, let's kind of hold back a little bit on the video content part of what we're doing, the more time, the thing that takes
Yeah,
the most time,
definitely.
the
Yeah.
editing, these sort of parts of that stuff. Let's pull back from some of that so that we can use that time in our space, enjoy the space, and that way we can kind of build up and back into some of the other things again that take up a lot of the time and everything. So I'm kind of in that kind of phase of things,
That's good.
but without very much expectation either, though, too, kind of living a busy life, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but man, I'm so surprised how things are actually kind of going out there without much of my help. I mean, I do get out there to try to make sure everything's watered during
Right.
this
The
hottest.
watering, got to do it.
Yeah, I get dedicate at least that much time, get out there, spend the time in the space, and to do that sort of stuff, planting things out and harvesting and doing everything. But yeah, it's just it's been a really great year as far as that goes in everything. But we
There
gotta
is not
spend
enough
time on
of
these
it. Yeah.
projects. Those folks like us who are just dedicated to projects and these things that we want to accomplish and everything. It's it's kind of a little difficult. How do we manage both of those when it comes to having a good garden?
And I think though, it's the analogy of being a parent is a good
Mm,
one in that there are
yeah,
seasons. There are seasons when the garden itself is more intense, where the work that you and I do to share about the garden or
yeah,
elevate, expand the way gardening is taught and transmitted and celebrated in our world. Like there are seasons for each part of life, and your child is not going to be an infant forever.
hmm,
Your garden isn't going to be brand new forever. It's also not going to
yeah,
be overgrown forever. Thank God for winter in some cases.
yeah,
So you have to yeah, I think I have to keep that in mind so that I don't
hmm,
say, oh, I missed this season. I say, I had this season for this, and
yep,
now I'm in this season and I get to do this. And there's a reason for all of that.
yeah, yeah. Like Taylor Swift would say, these are our different eras, right? There we go.
That is true.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But right on. Let's talk a little bit about this really great podcast, radio program, public radio show you have, Cultivating Place. Just really fantastic what you do over there. Amazing interviews, all of that. So how did this come about?
Well, I started the Cultivating Place radio program and podcast. It became Cultivating Place in 2016.
Hmm.
I had been doing a local radio program on public radio for about 8 years before that, and the station asked me if I would kind of grow it up into a nationally focused program, which I was happy to do at the time. I'm still happy to do it. I love it, and like
Yeah,
you say, you just can't run out of um, interviews or interesting books or interesting gardens or just it's a very
yeah,
vibrant world we live in, and so it just celebrated its 10th anniversary, which is really
nice.
exciting. 500 episodes, over 5 million downloads, which is really
Wow.
fun and kind of mind blowing, like you know. And yeah, and so the program and podcast, I think we're syndicated on 6 stations around the country at this point, and um, we're looking to expand that a little bit this year as we work towards this PBS program, which is exciting. And we became a nonprofit in order to support all of this work happening. And yeah, it thankfully, like the garden itself, it's just endlessly diverse, and so it
Hmm.
never loses its interest for me. The way different people express being a gardener, the
Yeah,
way it impacts our world in so many different ways, the ways we can learn more, and of course, plants.
yeah.
You just can't get enough of them, and there's always
There's
more
a
to learn. My partner does a lot of bumblebee surveys, and
mm,
so
love bees.
sort of studying the diversity and abundance of bumblebee species right now as a sentinel species for biodiversity loss or change or migration,
Yeah.
all of the above. And you just like, it's teaching me so much more about plants to go and assist him in some of these
Yeah.
surveys sometimes. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love having some beekeepers and bee folks and pollinator folks and things like that on the show as
Yeah.
well too. And again, like you said, there's just an endless supply of different topics and
Yeah.
things and
Yeah.
people and things that we can talk about and everything. I remember
Always
when I
more.
first started this show a few years ago, was like, okay, can we keep up with
Right.
the trying to keep new faces and new stories and new
Right.
topics and new things and all of that. And I was like, that was the biggest doubt I had. I was worried. I was like, I wanted to get this going. We had a pretty good set idea of who we were seeking out, with Jennifer Jewell being on our list, and what we were going to do in that first year. And then after the first year, I was like, wow, this is crazy, because what came up throughout that year was a whole bunch of suggestions and other places and things. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, wow, I got another couple years worth of stuff I got to go out and try to set up for our next year. And then we're into, I think this was our 4th year now.
Well
So
done.
it's just like amazing that, like you said, there's just so many great people, which is what this show is really centered around, is the gardening community, and discovering garden creators and authors and communicators and their stories and all of that sort of stuff. There's an endless supply of it in the gardening community, for sure.
It's a great ecosystem. And I think if there's one thing we know about gardeners, they love to share, they love to talk, they love to gather together, which is
Yes.
the joy of your program.
Yeah, we're always seeking a
Whether
place to
you're
be able to
changing
have these
grapes or you're making
conversations.
lasagna, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's the great thing about a great podcast or a show or these sort of things like this, is that you can listen to them doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Out there harvesting in the garden, planting out plants. We said changing breaks or
I know,
making
that was great.
lasagna.
That was a new one for me, the changing breaks while I listen.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. But so tell me a little bit about, like, you got any I know it's like picking children or whatever, but any like favorite interviews or shows or really special conversations that you got to have over those 500 that
Oh, yeah.
stand out to
Oh,
you?
yeah, there are a bunch that stand out. Recently, I had the good fun of interviewing Terry Tempest Williams about her newest book, The Glorians. And if you've never read any of her nature writing, she is just really, to use the same word I just used, a sentinel in our times. She wrote back in the 90s. She wrote a book called Refuge, about the dying of the Great Salt Lake. And ever since that time, she has been just an incredibly passionate, powerful voice for the integration of conservation and culture, and why when you put the two together, you make much better strides. And she's such an evocative, place-based and spiritual voice.
Yeah.
It was great to chat with her. And I had a beautiful conversation with Robin Wall Kimmerer, and let's see, another one with Rebecca Solnit. But sometimes it's just, it's not the names other people recognize. It will be just a single. There was an artist out of the United Kingdom who is the wife of a minister. And as a photographer, like, his ministry really worked into her photography and the way she handled her garden. And she was sort of his liaison for a community garden and for a churchyard garden. And it was just such a beautiful conversation about how all of these things all come together in a garden. That was a beautiful conversation. Every single one is interesting to me in different ways.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. And like I said, it's just, one of those shows and those programs that I look to for inspiration, as I develop this show and put all of this together. I love that interview format and doing that sort of stuff. And you definitely have a lot of great conversations. I hope folks who are watching and listening today get over there and check out some of those recent and older episodes. I mean, 500 to choose from. That's just amazing. I think we're working on somewhere between 2 and 3 right now ourselves. But
Well, and you put out twice a week, right? So you have the
uh,
Sunday edition too.
we were doing 3 days a week
Oh,
there for shortly, and we're probably getting back to that here in a few more weeks with our Monday
bless your
show that we
heart.
were doing. But yeah, again, like you said, it's so endless, and there's so many people, and even with 2 days, I've found like I can't get in everybody I want to get
No,
in
no,
most of
and
the time.
just
And that's
once a week, and
yeah.
the radio station forces you to do some reruns because of, like, pledge breaks and things like this,
Mhm.
and you're like, "I don't have enough time to get
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
published." So
I know, that's the thing, it's like I kind of feel like I get forced into expansion because it's like I want to have these ones, and I wanna have
mhm,
these folks back,
yeah,
it takes a couple of years to get someone like Jennifer Jewell back onto our show, because there's
it
so much
was
going on out there. And
it was great to see you guys at the Seattle, the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival. That was
oh,
great.
Mark said he had a great conversation with you. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I love those types of events and everything too. It's, again, we're looking to get out there and do our live show, hopefully from that event this next season as well too.
Great.
So that'd be,
Yeah.
yeah. So doing live shows will be, on location at some of these events would be really fun. Tell me a little bit more about, okay, so you get the radio show, podcast, but you mentioned that you turned this into a nonprofit, the
Mhm.
Cultivating Place Foundation, right?
Mhm, mhm. That yeah, we did that to support the rolling out of the documentary film series, which has
Okay.
just gotten, accepted to be distributed on PBS by American Public Television, and that will start in, April of 2027. We'll be doing live screening, tour, across the country
Yeah.
starting around the same time, and, the it really was a big lift, to do the filming, to host the live interviews, to film the conversations, and then, there's a whole crew and a wonderful filmmaker, Miriam Nicodemus, who is, in post-production on the 10 episodes now. It took us 2 years to film the 10 episodes,
Yeah.
um, which are centered around an interview with a particular gardener in front of that gardener's community of people.
Oh,
And uh, partly as an effort to both um, have, I think sometimes in a given person's community, they will see a gardener like you and they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's the Let's Get Growing guy. That's what he does,
yeah.
whatever. But they don't really know what you do unless they're a dedicated listener watcher, right?
Mhm.
But when I come in and I interview somebody about what they do and I point out all of the connections, and you will see their literal best friends or family members be like, wait, what? You do that? That is so cool.
Yeah.
Um, and that kind of making visible everything that a gardener actually activates in our world is so gratifying. It is, yeah,
Wow.
it's really an amazing experience. And so the filmed episodes are all around these experiences. And so, in order to get this across a finish line, we had to fundraise, and it really, given the advocacy that we undertake as Cultivating Place, a podcast, and then this series, it just made sense to become a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So yeah, and given the defunding of NPR and PBS, it also
Mhm.
felt like very ethically aligned for me to be in support of these avenues of communication and knowledge sharing that are open access in a way that very few things are in our world
Yeah.
anymore. And I really didn't want to put my work behind a paywall. And this allows me to do it that way.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that, and really, as you said, we need more funding for stuff like this.
Yeah.
Again, these are, this day and age. community connection is really important, and I think that gardens make such a great way of building community, creating places where we can make those connections. And I love this aspect, and I can't wait for this series that you've got too as well, because it kind of takes this sort of thing, interviewing and talking and digging into people's gardening experiences and taking it to that other level. Video production crew there, directors and folks who are helping to put this story together in such a visual way.
Yep.
Right. So
very different for me.
Yeah. So I can't imagine. It's just got to really create a lot more depth to the whole interview and the whole discussion about what they're growing and how that affects their lives. Right. Yeah. So really exciting. Again, when is this is going to be coming out, a 10-part series?
Yeah. It'll be coming out in April of 2027, on hopefully almost every PBS station in the country. Whether they air it in April, don't know, but that's when it will become available. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
So, and I think
Yeah.
somebody put the link in the
we
notes
got
I just
Jay in
saw.
there.
So thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
You can find out lots more there. And we're hosting this September in South Bend, Indiana, our first The Power of Gardeners Symposium, which will be exploring all of these ideas that are sort of embodied in the episodes of the series coming out. And we plan to host a symposium like this in a different place every year going forward as kind of one of our outreach programs.
Yeah, and as you can see there, it's in South Bend, Indiana.
Because how many people think of going to garden in South Bend, Indiana, right?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Somebody who said, and I forget which one of the listeners was saying, I live in Illinois. Everybody thinks that, Illinois is Chicago, but I actually live here. And I think that's the same thing with gardening, right? You say the word garden and people think of very specific places, and it's often bi-coastal. And all of that stuff in the middle, like who even knows what happens there? But as we all know, and your listeners are illustrating perfectly, they live everywhere. And what it means to be a gardener is different by far in every single one of those places, right? Like in Ohio, as someone said, and in, I forget if Robin was in Chicago, but they're getting a lot of rain. I'm in Northern California. We're not going to see rain until, if we're lucky, October or November. It's hot and it's dry. It's going to be 106 today. So, my challenges are different than your challenges, different than their challenges. And so to go see what it means to actually be a gardener and how you accomplish it in all of these different and less highlighted places is really interesting to me. Yes, gardening in the middle.
That's right. I garden in the middle of the West Coast.
Yes.
I'm in Southern Oregon.
Right. You and I are not far apart.
No, not at all. And again, I'll give another shout out to our good friend Chad over at Down Home Backyard Gardening, and Doug from Croc Gardener being one of his. He does a nice, cool monthly video where he's got gardeners who contribute and send in him videos. Doug's one of them.
That's awesome.
And from all different places.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So you get one video each and every month, a perspective from all these different gardeners in different places and everything, so that you get, like you're talking about, this kind of what it's like in these other areas versus this typical garden space we'd all commonly think of.
Right. No, I love it.
Yeah, that's really great. Excellent. So check out is this symposium, it's an in-person symposium, or is this something you're also going to do video wise or have available in that way as well?
We'll open up the day of lectures and panels to a streaming platform, and those tickets will open up in September, I think September 1st. We just opened up tickets to our sustaining supporters today, and they get a special price, and then we'll open to the public for an early bird price on August 15th. And then the second day, which is not available as a streaming event, is all like visiting different gardens and different green spaces in South Bend to see sort of like what that means in South Bend and how that improves and reintegrates a city that has suffered a lot of urban blight and change over time. I don't know how much you know about South Bend, but
Right.
it, had a big downturn as a Rust Belt city, and there
Yeah.
were a lot of abandoned houses. And one of the things under Mayor Pete, one of the initiatives was to actually take down 100 houses in 100 days in order to remove some of this urban blight.
Mhm.
But so in doing that, you leave a city sort of like a face without teeth with all
Yeah.
of these open lots. And what are you going to do with them? And the gardeners have just come out and helped to create, an integrated green network of kind of integrating the
Yeah.
whole city, tying the whole
Yeah.
city
Yeah.
together with these different green spaces. And this is one of those things that you're like, now that is the power of gardeners right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
No, that sounds amazing. And from what I've, you know, heard about Detroit, kind of a
Same thing.
similar
Yes.
situation where
Yes.
again they're just trying to rebuild things in, taking things down, leaves these open spaces,
Yep.
and the communities come in, built up community gardens
Yeah.
and other types of green spaces and
Yeah.
things. No, more of that stuff, right? More funding for these sort of things as well
Yeah.
too, because, it's important. Again, this idea, and that's one of the things I love about doing this type of show and all this sort of thing is connecting with people, building community,
Yeah.
and these green spaces, community gardens, these sort of places are the best types of places to bring people together,
Yeah.
and not just everybody, really, no matter what your background is,
Mhm.
what your political affiliations
No,
are,
it is a
your
common ground.
cultural background,
Yeah.
all that is a common ground for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And these are so when you build up a community garden or a community green space where people can gather and do things, this is where you're really helping to supercharge your community in a way,
Yeah.
because
I
that's
think
what
we
you
are.
do when you bring people together,
That
right?
is, and I think gardeners and garden spaces are underrated and undervalued as just that, as
Mhm.
community development, as economic development, as environmental development and conservation and restoration.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely more of that stuff. I love that you're focusing on a great place like South Bend, Indiana. Definitely look forward in checking that out as well. Um, Before we finish up though today, again, I did want to talk about, we did have you on again, as I'll remind everybody, we had you on
Yeah.
in our first year of our monthly gardening book club to talk about your great book, What We Sow, talking all about seeds. What is it? On the personal, ecological, and cultural significance of seeds. I mean, this just was a really great, amazing book. I hope people go out and get a copy of it, read it if you haven't already. Come check
Aw,
out
thank you.
her interview with Mark and I on
It
the
was
book
fun.
club.
Yeah.
It was such a great discussion. But tell us a little bit. Well, first you could start off with maybe a little bit about What We Sow as like a review, but maybe tell us a little bit more about your other books that you've written as well too,
Yeah.
because
Well, the sort of purpose statement for Cultivating Place is elevating and expanding the way we think and talk about gardening. And every single one of my books has sort of built on that idea of
yeah.
getting even us as gardeners to think beyond what we think we know of gardening to be. And in the first book that I wrote that was published in 2020, right as COVID hit, was The Earth in Her Hands. And this was looking at women, professional women in horticulture or horticulturally adjacent fields who were really kind of pushing the boundaries on what we mean when we say garden and what we expect from the garden world writ large, whether that's photography or writing or public botanic gardens and leadership there, or public policy, or plants and plant introduction and plant propagation. And
Mhm.
that book very specifically led me into the second book, which was called is called Under Western Skies, and it's really looking at the ecological garden movement through the lens of 40 different gardens across the US West, and exactly how ecological gardening is being expressed and native plant gardening is being expressed across the West, and what are some of the lessons we can learn as a result of that for any gardener anywhere as we're running up against drought and fire and biodiversity loss and climate change, because the US West, of course, has experienced a lot of these extremes always. And it's been part of what our normal cycle of gardening means. Like in summer, we have drought. In the winter, we have snow. In the summer, we have fire. And so that was really fun, because I think people often hear about the ecological gardening or native plant movement, and they're kind of like, okay, that's that front yard down the street that is all lava rock and one cactus. And how great is that? But as we know, like, this level of gardening is expressed in all kinds of ways. And, you can grow food and be doing this. You can grow flowers and be doing this. And you can have beautiful design. Doesn't have to be like a messy, patch of overgrown that just looks like weeds. It can be beautifully designed. And I think that's an important thing for the non-gardeners in the world to understand. And between those two, I really got the bug around seeds and the state of seeds in our world, and all that the seed keepers in our world, whether they are, seed breeders or seed growers or seed sellers, or cultural seed keepers, are doing in our world, because our plants, by and large, start from seed. And that's important. And who controls that seed and how they care for that seed ripples out in consequence for the good and the bad across everything we as gardeners do. And I think as gardeners, it's our responsibility. Our responsibility to know more about that and to advocate for the best decisions being made.
Yes, definitely. Great books. Definitely. If you guys haven't checked out any of Jennifer's books, the podcast, check out cultivatingplace.org. We have a link down in the description. I know Jay's been posting links and everything for y'all to go check that out as well too. Get yourself a copy of some of those books. I think that I got to read that the book on women in gardening next for sure. That one just sounds like got some really great stories in there.
Yeah, it was a really great thing to focus on during a couple of very trying years in our larger world, economically and culturally, and to just keep thinking, like, there are so many gardeners out there doing great things. Our world is not lost yet. No matter what it looks like, our world is not lost yet.
We're on the front lines of hope.
That's it, sure. Right there.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's see here. David got another great question here in the conversation for us. Jennifer, after all these conversations on Cultivating Place, has there been one idea that has fundamentally changed the way you garden?
That is a great question, and I love it. And the answer is, it hasn't changed the way I garden, but it has changed the way I understand what gardening is and why it's important in our world. So it has not changed the way I garden, but it has encouraged me to keep gardening, and no matter what, no matter if that is literally just getting out the door to water one plant today.
Yeah.
And that idea is what I have just been talking about, which is, when we as gardeners do it right, we grow everything in our world better. And I mean everything, from like what the impact of war is, to what our mood is, to how our children are raised. When we do it right, we grow everything better, environmentally, economically, socially, culturally, spiritually. And as a result, I have come to understand gardeners as a whole, even no matter where they are on that learning spectrum of what it means to be a gardener. We are what people talk about when they say a keystone species, a species that is so important on the face of the planet that if you removed that species from its ecosystem, its whole ecosystem would falter. You removed gardeners as a
Wow.
whole group of people from the planet,
Mm-hmm.
everything would suffer.
Wow. Yeah. Like David said, great answer. I haven't thought about it in that perspective before. And that is
Yeah.
really profound.
Well, I am an old person who has been thinking about these things for a very long time, and that really, like, I was standing, filming, recording in a historic cemetery in Atlanta, Georgia. So I have always, since the beginning of Cultivating Place, used the phrase that gardeners are powerful agents and spaces for positive change.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I was standing in this cemetery and I was watching one of the head gardeners prune and train a trailing rose around a historic cemetery headstone. And this
Mm.
is like a 250-year-old headstone.
Oh,
And
wow.
this is the native rose of Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
And right behind this headstone and this rose was an enormous oak. No, maybe it was a magnolia.
Mm.
In any event, in this historic cemetery, they refer to this tree as one of their witness trees, a
Mm.
tree that has been there so long that they have witnessed all of
Oh,
American
wow.
history, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this guy train this rose that has been dedicated the state rose around this headstone, which is representing, a whole person's life and what eternity is for that one soul under this incredible old native tree. And I thought, if you removed everything that the human hand had done, three quarters of this narrative would not be present in this picture.
Mm.
And that's when I was like, we are a keystone species. That is
Yeah.
what we do. We grow things together.
Yeah. Wow. That's just what a great way to finish up that conversation, man. That's just so profound. I love it. That's definitely something I'm taking away from this conversation for sure.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I love it. Let's see here. What does David says? I think you and I are close to the same age. I too have had a lot of thought time and will never stop gardening too.
Never
Exactly.
stop gardening.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said about being older, it's also makes you a little more thoughtful as well too.
We
And
have to hope, right? We have to hope.
yeah. And you have an incredible ability to take and put those thoughts into words and conversations and all that sort of stuff with what you do at Cultivating Place. I mean, just congratulations on a great 10 years there doing that, 500 episodes. You've got this amazing 10-part series coming out as well, plus the symposium that we were mentioning. And just all sorts of really great stuff. Is there anything that we're leaving out? Is there anything that we haven't mentioned or talked about yet today?
No, I'm just so happy to be here. It's always great to connect in person with people and to see comments coming in from people living their lives across the globe, actually.
Yes.
Because I saw somebody was coming in from the UK. Um,
Yeah, we get a few
it
people from the
reminds us that
UK.
we're never alone. Like, we are a great group of people.
No, yes, that's right. That's right. We are a great group of people gathering in all sorts of great places, cultivating in so many great places.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All over the globe, all over the world, on your show, Cultivating Place, right here on our show, Let's Get
Yes.
Growing. And
Oh,
again, like I said, just really amazing, fantastic conversation with you here today. I
thank
encourage
you.
everybody to follow our links down below in the description and go check out Jennifer's website as well as I think we got other links as well down there below
I think
too. So definitely
yeah,
check that.
there were a bunch. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for hosting Let's Get Growing. It is, and the whole Urban Gardener channel, like, well done you. Our world needs nothing but more.
Oh yeah, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And again, appreciate your time joining. Everybody go and check out all the links down below for Jennifer and Cultivating Place and all these just really great things. The books, like I said, still love this book, What We Sow. Go check out some of her other books as well too. But again, fantastic conversation. I can't wait to have you back on. We'll have to make it sooner than the time we've spent this last time. But
Well, we got to
we'll
get
have you
you
back.
on Cultivating Place, so that's
Oh
up
well,
next.
Yes, well, there you go.
Okay.
Anytime you let me
All right.
know, I would love to continue this conversation with you for sure.
Sounds good. Thank
Uh,
you.
you bet. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. Just one moment. Finish all of this up, everybody. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Thanks to amazing guests today. Doug from Croc Gardener joining us for Are You Following Me? Another one of the Coast to Coast crew joining with us for our Are You Following Me segment. And of course, what an awesome, inspiring conversation with Jennifer Jewell from Cultivating Place. Again, I hope you guys get down below into the description there. Check out those links. Go check out what they've got growing on over there. Find a post, find a video, find something where you can leave a comment. Let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. Right on. And yeah, everybody, like I said, if you didn't get a chance to, or if you get a chance, come and join with us tomorrow. We're back at it again tomorrow. That's right. For our Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show. That's right. It's time for another appointment. We love having these great conversations with Dr. Jeffrey Pierce, an appointment with Dr. Jeff. We're going to talk gardening as medicine. We'll be focusing our conversation on nutrition and growing our gardens for all this great, delicious food. And we'll have just a wonderful conversation with him tomorrow. So definitely come and join with us. Bring your questions for Dr. Jeff. He always loves all of those great questions that you guys bring for him each time we have him on the show. And then again, too, like I said, we're back again at it next weekend, next Saturday for the Let's Get Growing show. We have joining with us Nick Kutsumptis, if I can get that name right. It's Farmer Nick. Yes, Farmer Nick will be joining with us on the show next Saturday. And we'll talk all about all the things that he's got growing on. He's authored some great books and has some great content on his channel, and going to be another really fun conversation. So definitely come and join with us next Saturday. And as I mentioned earlier, we got our monthly gardening book club coming up with Mr. MBC, Mark Boucher Colbert, joining with us live for In the Garden and co-hosting our book discussion this month with Charlie Nardozzi. We got Charlie joining us for his book, new book, The Continuous Vegetable Gardener. So definitely come and join with us here on the third Sunday of the month for that great conversation with Charlie and Mark. And yeah, it's one of the more fun things that we get to do here on the Let's Get Growing show is our monthly gardening book club. I look forward to it each and every month. And we've got another great one for you. And like I said, our guest today was one of our first monthly gardening book club authors and guests for our first year of the book club. So great to have another revisit with Jennifer today. Right on. And I hope all of you have really enjoyed the show here today as well. And if you can, before you head out, let's go ahead. If you didn't do it already, let's hit that like button, hit the thumbs up. Before we finish up here today, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Bell notification up there so you can be notified of all of our upcoming live streams and videos here on the Urban Gardener channel. Share with all of your garden friends and let them know that we're here each and every weekend, Saturday and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And as I kind of teased and mentioned just a little bit earlier there with Jennifer, we do and are working on bringing back our Monday evening green room show, hopefully here in a few weeks. So more information on that coming up as well. And again, thank you to everybody who joined with us on the replay today. If you didn't get a chance to jump into the chat or comment section down below, let me know you're here, where you're growing from, and all of that. And or just drop by and say hi. I'd love to hear from all of you. So definitely drop into the comment sections below. And like I said, follow all the links down below to all of our guests. And one more time, though, too, I did want to mention again, thank you to everybody who sent us in donations. Last weekend on the show, we had our community shows. We were doing a bit of a fundraiser for the Let's Get Growing show. And we got in a bunch of just really great, awesome donations from everybody. If you didn't get a chance to or didn't get to see that on last weekend's shows, and you got a few bucks, mind you, no donation is too small. We're still accepting donations, or always, I guess. Right down below, we've got links to our Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, so you can do direct donations. Or if you want to mail something in or have any other ideas for donations, you can send me an email at theurbangardener@mail.com, and I'll give you some information if you want to send in something in the mail or anything like that. But again, so thankful to all of you who did donate and sent us in some funding for all of the bills that have come due here at this time of year for us and doing the show. Oh, and I see Jay popped up on the screen there too. And fundraising is still doubled. That was one of the awesome surprises we got last weekend. Is our facilitator producer, the J-Bot, pledged to double everybody's donations. So again, no donations too small. So even if you have like $2, that makes it $4. If you got $5, that makes it $10. Jay's still doubling the donations. So definitely drop into the links down below for that. And again, everybody, thank you so much for all that you do, for being on the show, even all of the great free stuff that you get to do, you know, the liking, the commenting, the sharing, all of that sort of stuff. We really, really greatly appreciate that. That really helps us grow our show and help bring more people to all of these just really amazing conversations we get to have every single week here on the Let's Get Growing show. And with that, I look forward to seeing all of you all tomorrow for the Sunday edition. That's right. It's another appointment with Dr. Jeff. So make sure that you come and join with us. Bring all of your great questions, and I'll see all of you then.
This is the ugliest plant in the world, but I love it.